Bonnie Guercio is a mixed media collage artist who has a studio in the Picker Artist Building in the Nashua Milliard.
My name is Bonnie Guercio. I'm a mixed media collage artist. A mixed media collage artist uses a lot of different kind of papers and artifacts to create their story on some kind of a background. Either could be canvas or more paper. I like to use mostly papers, and I use newspapers, I use wrapping paper. I have a wonderful source in Ann Arbor, Michigan that I have order paper from all the time. I'm kind of a paper junkie. I love their papers, and I buy more paper than I actually need. In college, I was going to be a potter. I had a dual major, art education and art studio, but I really loved making ceramics. And so I thought, well, one day I'll have a pottery studio and I'll teach classes and I'll make pottery, and that'll be what I do for my life. Ultimately, I did teach pottery at the Arts and Science Center in Nashua, which is now called 14 Court Street. So I taught there for a little while, and after I was done with that, then I decided that I would go on and get a master's degree in education, and I got certification in teaching and special ed and language and learning disabilities, and I got hired by an alternative high school. But it turned out there was no water in my studio, so I couldn't teach pottery at that high school. So I kind of hunted around, and I sort of hit upon creating collage. I had the first project that I would have my students do was to create an autobiography, but it had to be visual, and they could put a few pictures of themselves, but then they had to bring artifacts in, like, do you collect the ticket stubs from the concerts that you see? Put things on your autobiography that somebody's going to look at and know who you are. And for some reason, that project was always a hit. Kids really, really enjoyed doing that project. I had to create demos so I could show them, okay, you're going to do this kind of a project and here's how it might look. And so then I got into it, and that's sort of kind of started me on the road. And then 20 years later, when I retired, I decided I was going to get a studio in the old Picker building and make collages, and I did. And I love it. It's a very accessible art. I was shocked the first time I did that project with the students, and they absolutely put their hearts and souls into it, and they felt very successful. The artists that were part of the Impressionist movement and abstract artists, they sort of developed the idea of collage art by, including in their paintings and in their works little pieces of paper, little three-dimensional objects, that sort of thing. One of the artists that probably has had the most influence on me is a mixed media artist called Joseph Cornell. He not only used paper and small artifacts, but he would create shadow boxes with small mannequins and all kinds of ephemera in them to create his symbolic stories, and I love them. Since 2010, the arts have really done very well in Nashua. Nashua is starting to be a destination for the arts. I mean, yeah, the last couple of years it's been kind of tough, but I mean, the Sculpture Symposium alone has just brought so many people to this town. We have 40 pieces from all over the world. I am a board member of City Arts Nashua, and I have been since, I guess, 2010. And I'm also on the board of the Nashua Sculpture Symposium. And I was on the Arts Commission, but you can only do so much. So it's always been important to me, only because I when I was teaching, I realized what a great way to bring people in is to have them interact with art, bring them in, make them feel like they belong, basically, because everybody can enjoy art, and you don't have to create it to enjoy it. And, I always figured nobody's going to drive from Chelmsford to buy insurance on Main Street, but they might come here to see a sculpture by Tony Manis, who actually has 3 sculptures in Nashua. I have a friend who has his own marketing design company, and he lives part of the year in Prague and part of the year in Nashua. And he was here during the sculpture symposium, and he came in my studio to see what I was up to and everything. And he said, I'd like you to do a commission for me for my girlfriend who just loves hummingbirds. I spent, a couple of months trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do, because it has to be relatively small because he's going to take it back in his carry-on luggage. So I thought about it for a while, and then I just kind of zeroed into what I do, pretty simple, with stars. I love putting stars on things. And so I ended up finishing it actually last week, and I was like, I really like that. It's pretty simple. And I checked it out with Gail Moriarty, who is kind of a hummingbird aficionado. Went up and I said, are these colors right? And she said, absolutely. Red and orange, favorite colors of hummingbirds. So it's got orange and red on it, and my stars. And but it's real simple. I get the free catalogs when you donate to like Greenpeace and whoever. I did one piece that has multiple little rectangular collages, and it's called Homage to John Muir, because each one of the backgrounds is from pictures from the calendar. They're all like parks and stuff like that. So I like that piece. What I'm working on is usually my favorite, because I have to have it be something I really like, or then I don't want to work on it. That's called Oz Never Did Give Nothing to the Tin Man That He Didn't Already Have. That's one of my favorite songs. I looked it up one time, and apparently the guy who wrote the lyrics was like, I just really like the way the words sounded together. And I'm like, darn. On some level, it does evolve, and then it evolves back to where I started. It's kind of circular, I was very structured in my collage work when I first started. I even have like a level that I would use to make sure all the lines were, just right. And then it evolves to being sort of like random, and then it goes back to being very structured. So the evolution of my art is actually very circular. I keep going back and forward. Like this piece right here, this red piece, that's not as structured as like my first art would be, but I did that a couple of years ago. And then, like I can tell in the 3 birds, I'm back to like, rule of thirds or something like that. So I tend to lean in on those kinds of things, but then I get like that other red one, there's no rule of third going on there. So anybody who creates art, regardless it's successful, I feel like that. But a lot of people are very hard on themselves and say, but I think when you help people with a collage or learn how to make collage, they feel like they've been successful. So I get a good feeling out of collage and making them and sharing them with people and teaching people how to do it and everything. It helps people put aside, I can't do this, but really think about what it is that they're doing, which artists do that. You get really involved in how you want to tell your story more than, I can't do this or I need better skills. You don't think about that. You think about how you're going to tell your story with your little artifacts. So it's kind of cool. I like it. To learn more about my work, please come visit me at the Picker Artist Studios in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Thank you for joining our virtual Art Week. City Arts Nashua appreciates the support of our sponsors and of you, our viewers. Please continue to support our local artists and our musicians and our theater groups. For more information on arts in Nashua, visit cityartsnashua.org.